All right, good evening, everyone. This is a call to order for the Bridgeport Board of Education regular board meeting on Monday, January 9th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. And we are at Agriculture Science and Technology Educational Center. At this moment, we're going to we're going to have everyone stand as we do the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Bobby Brown,
Here.
Christine Baptiste Perez, Sybil Allen,
Here.
Albert Benahan,
Present.
Akeisha Kashmir,
Here.
Erica Castillo, Michael Macaron, Joseph Sokolovic,
Present.
and Joseph Lombard present.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. At this moment, I do not see any student representatives at the table, but I'm sorry, Ms. Allen. At this moment, we do not see any student representatives at the table, but we'll acknowledge those that are online. So if you are online, please feel free to say your name and the school that you represent.
Good evening. I'll begin. I'm
do.
Erica. Yeah, good evening, Board of Education members, and thank you for the time to share an update. My name is Erica Pinto, and I'm here to represent aquaculture as a Central High School student. We are wrapping up our first semester at Aqua with some students starting their final examinations this week. Students will be starting new classes on Monday, January 23rd. Aqua will also be hosting the Bridgeport Public Schools Science and Engineering Exposition. Parents and community members, as well as the Board of Education, are invited to see the scientific thinking on display on Wednesday, February 1st from 5 to 7:30 in the conference room at Aqua. Judging will take place on the following day, and then winners will be sent on to the State Science Fair. I will be representing Aqua myself, and it would be great to see some of you there. On the behalf of Aqua, we are very appreciative of the ongoing support of the Board of Education. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. Is there another student representative that would like to present?
Good evening. My name is Lindsay Mohammed, and I'm representing the Aerospace and Hydrospace Engineering and Physical Sciences High School. So before going out for the holiday break, our National Honor Society raised money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation by hosting a coin drive. In addition to this, the National Honor Society also worked to create blankets for the Southern Connecticut Binky Patrol as they donate these blankets to children in hospitals throughout the region. We've also began our credit recovery program, which is being offered at our campus, and counselors have been meeting with students and contracts have been sent out. On Thursday, our STEAM night will be happening. Science fair and capstone projects will be presented. The school will be open to the public and for recruiting that same night. Our Snowball Gala was also held before the break and was a huge success with over 300 students attending from across the campus. In addition to this, I am sure you all know that there is currently a petition going on for the final schedule change. There have been changes made to the final schedule. However, I was also asked to give a speech on behalf of the student representative that has created this petition. I don't know if you all are okay with me giving it now, or would you like me to wait when public speakers will be speaking?
If you would like, if you could save it for that part of the agenda.
All right, thank you. That is all.
Thank you. Is there any other students online?
Yes, hi, I'm the representative for Bridgeport Military Academy. BMA had a successful NEACS visit last month, and cadets are preparing for a final exam on the 19th and 20th. They're excited to begin their new courses for semester 2, and the first PTSO meeting of the new year is scheduled for Wednesday. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll check for one more time. Is there any other student representatives that would like to share? Is Jalil still online?
Yes, I am. Sorry. Good night, and I am Jalil Stewart from Hardin High School, student representative. At Hardin High School, students are preparing for their final semesters for semester 1 of the school. In school, students are also presenting their science fair projects this week. At the end of January, there will be a class versus class competition sponsored by the Students' Council. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then one last call. Is there any other students online that would like to present? All right, hearing none. Thank you, students, for providing us your reports. At this moment, we're going to open up the floor for public comment. The first person we have on our list is Ms. Dasha Spell. You just turned it off. Mhm. You turned it off. Yeah, there you go.
Can you hear me now? It doesn't sound. Hi, my name is Dasha Spell. I am a Bridgeport Board of Ed alum, and I'm also a current parent in the district. I'm actually here tonight in regards to Bassick High School BMA. I'm glad to see it on the agenda, as I've been asking for months about updates. Previously, I attended a meeting where we got some news about this construction, which really bothered me because it impacts the Weston and just in general our kids. I'm asking the Board of Ed because we were informed that Ms. Perrin, Superintendent Perrin's predecessor didn't have any plans or real goals when it came to disfiguration. Tonight, can we have a real discussion in regards to what this is going to look like, how we're going to formulate this, and the biggest thing is that how we're going to make this so that it's fair across the board for not only Bassick High School, but for Bridgeport Military Academy as well, because that is a school in itself. We do have schools in this district that actually have one side as one school, other side is another school. In addition, I just want to throw this out here because originally when I sat in the meetings about this construction and this particular program, it originally was supposed to be at Fairchild Wheeler. And so if we're talking about moving things around, from my understanding, this district, a lot of schools, including our high schools, are under enrolled. So with that in mind, once again, I'm just putting it out there. If we're looking at doing anything, I don't want to see BMA not be BMA at the end of the day. So I'm asking y'all to please take in consideration and also think of ways that we can keep that particular school with the honor, the history that they have developed, because our kids enjoy it. Give our kids something that they're utilizing. Let them keep what they have. We're losing too much as it is. Thank you and have a good night.
Thank you, Ms. Bell. At this moment, I'm going to call Mr. Benahan.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Albert Benahan, and I'm here standing here as a parent, not as a board member. I'm here because I know a lot of parents cannot speak, they're gonna come, and I'm here to support them. I don't have a problem that BMA and BMA and Bassick High School have it, work together, but not be together. This happened for so many years. I was a BDSO foreman for 4 years in Bassick High School, and when I was first year I was a board member, we find out that the former superintendent, the council price board members, especially me, that BMA and Bassick High School is going to be together. He never put it in the table. He never bring it to the board members. He never bring it to, only 2 people know about the situation. It was the former chairperson, John Wendon, and the former superintendent of the school. I hope this situation can be fixed, that can be, done. They do a great job. Thank you, Larry and Mr. Taylor, for, all of you to do amazing stuff for Bassett High School. It's not your fault, guys, because y'all know you're doing your job, and I know what you guys are doing. And thank you to be in my committee, bring this information. This is the way we open, so the parents, community, and students, they know what's going on. There are two amazing schools. Everybody know I love all my schools, but Bassett High School is one of my priorities. This is my baby. And BMA, I love it from the bottom of my heart. Because in that BMA high school, and we have the principal here, that has a wall painted for my niece, passed away. April's going to be 5 years. That she painted something about Big Angel Warrior, about BMA, how the students work together. So it's not fair that they change in everything and not let them know the parents, students, community what's going on. We need to be more transparency. We need to let them know everyone what's going on. I hate to be high. Everybody know who's Mr. Benehan, that I don't hide for nothing. I'm elected, and we are elected because of the community. So let's give the answer. Let's answer the questions for all the parents, because I know together and with a good communication, it's a great successful. So I hope from now on we can work together as a team and better education for our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Benehan. And then the student that's online that wanted to share, this is, you could speak at this moment.
Hi, so I'll just reintroduce myself again quickly. My name is Lindsay Muhammad, and I'm representing Fairchild Wheeler, the Aerospace and Hydrospace School. So the student that is leading the petition that is currently happening among Bridgeport Public Schools is Thomas Donnelly, and unfortunately he will not be able to attend tonight due to his work schedule, but he asked that I relay a speech that he has written. It's short, quick, straight to the point, just to get it out there on your radars. So I'll begin. Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the Bridgeport Board of Education. I, Thomas Donnelly, the Vice President of Fairchild Wheeler's Aerospace National Honor Society, regret that I cannot be here in person to deliver this speech. However, I would hope that it in no way infringes on the importance of the speech and its contents. First, before I begin, let me state plainly that we, the students, are asking for one thing in particular. That is to have 1 session days for the entirety of the 4 days final periods at the end of each semester. And before it is pushed to the side again, waved off in an email telling us to speak to our advisors or an insufficient attempt to meet our needs, let me say that it is not that complicated at its foundation. It is something we have done in the past, something that mirrors the same scheduling that colleges, which we build our schedules off of, do. How can we be expected to have a system modeled after another when we do not take into consideration the importance of the initial system? But all of that aside, this is something that is for the best of the teachers, parents, and most importantly, the students in Bridgeport Public Schools. It is something that we care for, and it is something that affects each and every single one of us. And I say this with confidence because I have evidence on my side. Evidence in the approximately 500 signatures acquired over the course of just 2 days from one school. This is a petition written by the students, distributed by the students, and collected by the students. And the only reason this flawed scheduling has not gotten even more official backlash from the students themselves is because we have just gotten started. The students know what they need, and it's not 2 days, it is all 4. I hope that I will not have to explain the unfairness of only having 2 one-session days, not only for the students who still need to take equally important finals on 2 of the 4 days, but for teachers who still give finals on 2 of those 4 days. Meeting us halfway cannot work, and feels insulting to the effort that we students have put into getting your attention. I would hope that this is only due to miscommunication and obliviousness and not with the intent to not do what is best for the students of Bridgeport Public Schools. That is the end of his speech that he has given me, and I would just like to say that I have also emailed all of you digital copies of the signatures that we have received from students, and thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing. At this moment, we will introduce meeting minutes, approval of meeting minutes. But before I do that, let the record reflect our Vice Chair, Ms. Christine Baptiste Perez, has entered. At this moment, we'll start the approval of meeting minutes. I would like to entertain a motion to approve November 28th, 2022 regular board meeting minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Minahan, second by Mr. Sokolovic. All in favor? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, meeting minutes have been approved. The next one would be December 13th, 2022 special board meeting. Is there anyone that would like to move that?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Benehan, second by Ms. Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the minutes have been approved. At this moment, we'll move to the chairperson's report. Sorry, chairperson's report. At this moment, I would like to share with the board, with the community, the Board of Education, board members will be preparing to actually go into conversation about reviewing the RFP process. That meeting will take place on January 24th, 2023. And as we begin this process, anything that we're able to accomplish and bring back to the public, we will do that. I just want to let the community know that we are in the process of reviewing these items and moving forward from there. That is my report. The next thing on our agenda is committee reports. Ad hoc district-wide branding initiative committee meeting took place recently. There are no referrals for this committee. Actually, we have an item on tonight's agenda that we will be addressing. So if there's any referrals from the board members for this committee. All right, hearing none. The next committee is Education, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion.
Yes, the committee did not meet in the interim. The next meeting will be January 30th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m.
Is there any referrals for this committee? All right, the next one is Finance, Mr. Sokolovic.
Finance also did not meet in the interim. The next meeting will be January 11th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. There will be a full agenda. I know there's a couple of items backed up and they'll be heard in February because this is going to be an extensive agenda since it hasn't been meetings.
Thank you. The next one is Governance.
I have a referral for financial, Mr. Chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. Referral, Mr. Benhane.
Thank you. I know your agenda is going to be full, but I just want to be sure if you can, if you're not, maybe the next one, be sure, I want to someone report. I know we talked about that last year about Lighthouse.
Yeah, that will be on
You got you.
February's agenda.
All right. Thank you.
The next one is Governance.
Governance hasn't met in, I don't know, since 2021, I think. Long time. There's going to be a full agenda as well. I got a couple of Mr. Benan's items in mind, especially with the bylaws.
Yes.
A couple of things, a couple of policies left over from the list.
Thank you.
Chairperson will be meeting on January 18th, 2022 at 6 p.m.
All right, 18, you said?
Yes.
Thank you.
Any referrals for that committee? The next one will be Health, Safety, and Facilities Committee.
Health, Safety, and Facilities Committee has not met in the interim, but I plan on having an agenda and a meeting at the end of this month.
Thank you. Any referrals?
Yes, I know we talk about this and I just want to report it for the record. Ms. White shared that I need to talk about security. I will send you all the information again and to see, what we can have update and then you let us know the date. Thank you.
Mr. Sokolovic?
Yeah, I would like to take a look at our COVID-19 protocols, which are currently experiencing a surge in Connecticut. And I think we need to look at the reopening plan because we did have contingencies in effect for maybe going back to mass. I want to see if we met that threshold or not.
Thank you. The next one is Personnel and Contracts Committee. Personnel and Contracts Committee is scheduled to meet at the last Tuesday of this month, which I believe is the 31st. Are there any referrals for contracts and personnel?
Yes, I have one. I referred to this before, an updated organizational chart and responsibilities.
Got it. Our next committee is Students and Families, Mr. Benahan.
Student family, we're going to meet January 19, 2023, 6:30 in Central High School Library.
Thank you. And then our last committee is referrals.
Yes, I got a referral. I would like to refer the students issue that just came up, the half days. I'd like to get them out more fully. It's a Families Committee.
I will. Thank you.
And then our last committee is Teaching and Learning.
Teaching and Learning has not met in the interim. I will have a meeting and an agenda at the end of this month.
Thank you. And I apologize.
What?
Any referrals for teaching and learning? No? Okay. I apologize. I didn't mention this particular organizational for committee chairs are on our website, but also too, I just want to read off the chairs of those committees. For finance, as you already heard, but I'll read it for the record. Finance is Mr. Sokolovic. He's the chair. Governance is Mr. Sokolovic as well. Ad hoc district-wide branding initiative is myself. Health, safety, and facilities is Ms. Christine Baptiste Perez. For personnel and contracts is myself. For students and families is Mr. Benahan. For teaching and learning is Ms. Christine Baptiste Perez. And then the last one is education, diversity, equity, and inclusion is Mr. Sokolovic. All of these committees were drafted on availability of those who are able to serve with the committee's assignments. Also, too, all of our committees are online. You can feel free to go online and see what committee you would like to participate in or attend. Most of them do not have public comment, but you are more than welcome to walk in and sit and listen to what the committees are addressing. Everything will also be located on the Board of Ed website, and you're more than welcome to contact any of the board members about their committees or any items that you would like them to address for their committees. So I just want to make sure I read that into the record.
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Now you say about the names of the, who's in chair of the committee. I spoke with Ms. Otista the other day, and we're gonna be working together, as a team to work all the safety, healthy, security, stuff like that. So we're gonna be way on top. I know she's the chair, and then like she told me, we can split, the agenda, and we can work, trying to be sure our students and parents and staff, they can know we want the best for our buildings, so we agreed to working, as a team to see how we can work in an agenda and have everything done the way it's supposed to be. Us, we know we're strong, so we know we're gonna have things done the way it's supposed to be.
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to let it know for the record.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
At this moment, we're going to turn it over to our interim superintendent, Ms. Perrin, for her report.
Good evening, everyone. In the Division of Nursing, vision screenings have begun and will continue through February. The Lions Club is assisting the school nurses at specific sites to test students in grades K, 1, 3, 4, and 5. Pre-K students who have not received their flu vaccines by December the 31st are being excluded from school according to the state mandate. We're currently working on getting all grade 6 students having their physical by April 1st, so they will not be excluded from school, which is also a state mandate. The ITS department is currently in the process of remediating the defective docking stations at all schools in the district in a progressive fashion. Currently, we are addressing the largest schools first so that we can complete as many as possible in a timely fashion. As of December 5th, 2022, all schools have assigned speech and language pathologists or speech and language pathologist assistant to provide comprehensive services to students with school-based speech needs. This has been a major shortage area that we were lacking in as a district, but we have come to par in making sure that all of our schools are being serviced at this time. We have assessments currently happening in January at the elementary level, which includes Last Links, DIBELS for K to 8, Acadience for our K and 1, and the HMH, which is our math assessment for students in grades 2 to 8. We have our math quarterly assessments for grades 7 and 8, as well as DIBELS progress monitoring. NGSS IABs will be taking place for students in grades 5, 8, and 11 as well. Students in grades 9 to 12 will be participating in the middle of the year Reading Plus benchmark, with assessments beginning on the 23rd of January and being completed by the 27th. SAT School Day for grade 11 will participate on March 22nd, and this will be given digitally. HMH Math Focus are math talks to encourage discourse amongst students using academic vocabulary and language associated with our curriculum. We also have an update from our Kanathlon, which is our math competition that we are engaging in here in district. So right now, it's open to all schools, but right now, for those students who are placed in categories 1 to 5, one being the highest, which is High Horizons, with an average skill level up of 44. Multicultural comes in second with an average skill level up of 42. Columbus in third with an average skill level up of 40. Hall in fourth with the average skill level up of 36. And then Edison and Beardsley are tied for fifth place with an average skill level up of 30. High school for our grades 9 to 12, they are ranked as well. First place right now is Fairchild Wheeler Aerospace with an average skill level up of 12. Fairchild Wheeler IT is next with the average skill level up of 5. Central comes in third with the average skill level up of 4. Harding fourth with the average skill level up of 3. And Bassick High School 5 with the average skill level up of 2. This is a national contest, so we are placing and ranking in the nationwide category. Right now, we have Multicultural Magnet coming in at 2 with the 41 skills leveled up nationwide. High Horizons coming in at 3 with 39 skills leveled up across the nation. Columbus School 4th with the average skill level up of 36. And Hall School comes in 5th nationwide with 35 skills leveled up. Also, we're talking about the average learning minutes. Hall School from Bridgeport comes in with an average of 647 minutes, as well as Edison comes in 4th with 457 minutes, and Columbus School 380. So we are ranking nationwide as well. So nice job. Currently, we have 23 pre-K slots available at various schools. The Early Childhood Department has sent letters to pre-K families from various waiting lists. Yard signs are being placed targeting the areas with the most openings. We wanted to also recognize that there was a student, I was notified, not a student, school today was notified that they have grown in percentages with UConn and ECE classes. So Bassick is ranking amongst number 9 in the high schools in the state with 168% increase in the total number of students enrolled in UConn courses through the UConn ECE. So we were notified of that today. So congratulations to Bassick on that accomplishment. Also, we wanted to shout out a Fairchild Wheeler Biotech Scholar, Moez, who is still a semifinalist for the Pepsi Scholarship. We just received that he received notice of a full ride, which includes tuition, board, and meal plan to UConn as one of the recipients of their Day of Pride scholarship. So congratulations to you. Fairchild Wheeler, Margaret Carlson and Thomas Donnelly, and Discovery Magnet Trey Kierans and Mary Sather on winning the Native American Heritage Debate. So congratulations to them as well. As of today, our lottery is open for all elementary magnet schools, so make sure that we are participating in that. As of January 10th, student ambassadors from all high schools, which is approximately 80 students, will participate in a full-day in-person experience with Dr. Gay to engage in leadership training to foster a more inclusive school system. Students will engage in interactive exercises to deepen understanding of self in connection with others and brainstorm solutions to inclusion challenges in their respective schools. On January 12th, we have our quarterly recognition ceremony at 6 p.m. at Harding High School to recognize our scholars as well as staff. Quarter 3 and semester 2 begins January 23rd, 2023. And on January 25th, 2023, we will be having our community forum right here at Aquaculture discussing the Bassick BMA collaboration. So please join us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Parent, for your report. We're going to open it up for board members to ask any questions at this moment. Are there any questions for Ms. Parent? Oh, no questions for Ms. Parent. Thank you for the report. At this moment, we're going to go into our new business. There's no old business to transact. The first item on our agenda is discussion and presentation update on the new Bassick/BMA High School project. There is leadership that will be presenting on this item.
Are they going to be presenting a PowerPoint?
Is there a PowerPoint? There is? Okay.
Yes.
Let me introduce first Joe Costa. He's principal of Perkins Eastman Associates, and Anthony Stark, senior associate at Perkins Eastman. and they'll present to you.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the board. Appreciate the opportunity to speak to you tonight. As Mr. Schilling mentioned, my name is Joseph Costa. I am the principal in charge of the Bassick High School. I work for Perkins Eastman out of our Stamford office, and Anthony Stark is our project manager and also a senior associate with the firm. We were asked last week to provide a brief update to the board on the progress of the Bassick High School. We've been very, very busy over the last few months completing the documents and securing approvals, both from local officials as well as from state officials on the project. And we're also getting ready to actually do the exciting part of the building, that is to actually realize the construction and start the work there. As some of you may know, we actually completed the demolition work last year, removing the old University of Bridgeport buildings and getting the building ready for the new concrete and the new work that's going to be happening very shortly. So that was actually very, very excited. Tonight, what we're going to do is really present information that you've seen already. So there's really not new information. The drawings are going to look like they're more detailed, but it's pretty much consistent with the documents and the designs that we had the last time we were here several months ago. So it's really not new information. It's a little bit more detailed. But what we'll do is we'll walk through it fairly quickly, and then we'll give you an opportunity to ask any questions about the plans or the site. At this point, I'm just going to ask Anthony to make the presentation, and then we can pause at any moment and give you a chance to ask some questions. Okay, thank you. Anthony, if you want to start.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just going to walk, next slide. I'm going to walk everybody through the building plans, and then we'll look at how the building sits on the site. So this is the main floor. It's about 99,000 square feet. On the right side of the project is Broad Street. There's the Broad Street side, and then the bottom of the drawing is where University Avenue is. So down in the lower right corner is the main entry into the building. At that location, all students will be dismissed and enter the building, and any visitors, there's a secure passage that takes you into the security office right off the vestibule. And then all the students enter the building. Directly north of that is the admin wing, which also has the nurse's office and dentist's office. To the side of that, I'm sure everybody can pick out the detail of the gymnasium for 1,500 people. And then north of that is a auditorium with stage platform for 500 seats. And just to the right of that is the music and singing classrooms. The left side of the plan is primarily the cafeteria at the bottom. And then at the top half of the plan is all the trade classrooms, the auto shop, the wood shop, advanced manufacturing lab. And then all the way to the left side of the plan is mechanical space, the janitors. There's also the loading dock at the very back in the top left. There's the loading dock there where any of the deliveries for the cafeteria and other deliveries will be made. And there's intercom to contact the security office and stuff at that location. Next slide. At the second floor, there's a few classrooms, again on the Broad Street side. The rest of the building is more shaped like an L, so this is the one wing of classrooms. To the bottom right corner is the media center. And then along that south side is the overhang to the lobby and the cafeteria. And then the north of that left wing is the engineering classroom architectural drafting classroom, and art classrooms. Next slide, please. And then the third and fourth floor are fairly similar. Again, on the right side, there's several classrooms. Some of the special education classrooms are on this floor. To the south, again, is part of the media center and additional classrooms. On the left side of this plan, there is the Bridgeport Military Academy office and 8 classrooms. And then also the first floor, the science classrooms in the middle. Next slide, please. And the fourth floor is fairly similar. Classrooms on both wings, grade leader offices at different points, and additional science classrooms. The chemistry classrooms on this level with a few more. Next slide. Oh, wow. Sorry about that. So on the right side of the plan is Broad Street, and cutting through the middle there is University Avenue. That'll be closed down. That's a new promenade. The bulk of the high school sets up on the north side, and then to the south is the parking lot and the athletic field. Buses will come in on Lafayette Street and pull in front of the school along Broad Street and drop off, and then turn back onto Broad Street. Parents would be encouraged to come down Broad Street and turn into the parking lot and drop students off at the north end of the parking lot. And this is the current design rendered graphically. So you can see the bus loop and off of Broad Street there on the right, and then the promenade that will be on University Avenue going off to the left. Large canopy for students to gather under, waiting for school to open, and great views of the park and the athletic field from the cafeteria and the media center, and looking out into the space. Seaside Park. And we'll open it up to questions.
Thank you. At this moment, first, Ms. Baptiste Perez. I believe in past meetings, it may have been addressed regarding the potential flooding hazard with it. And I think on the photo and the screen, it shows to the right-hand corner, upper left where the school buses are, that's the 18-foot barrier to prevent flooding.
So there's the resiliency project for Bridgeport that will be raising a berm all along on the site at University Avenue. That'll be raised up to like 16 feet, which is the 500-year floodplain. The school building itself is at 18, which is 2 feet above the 500-year floodplain.
Has anyone from the city taken into account that if the high school is secured from flooding, would that water run off into local properties? So if I own a house right next to the school, because there are property owners there, if the school's not flooding, the water has to run somewhere. So has an analysis or anything like that been presented to the community to ensure their properties or their flood insurance?
Yeah, we've gone through several rounds of reviews with DEEP and the city engineers, reviewing all of our drainage systems and calculations. Everything's to be tied into the various catch basins that we tied into the city sewers. We also have retention. What do they call it? The infiltration systems on the north side. And the south side, the resiliency project was going to take most of that water drainage and create a retainage pond.
You say wasn't?
A large retainage pond in Seaside Park to it'll collect any of the runoff, and it'll also slowly let it infiltrate back into the groundwater.
Will that impact the quality of the water that's at Seaside Park or shrink the size of the beach in any way?
No. Yeah, it'll improve the water quality in the area. by allowing it to filter back naturally instead of overflowing the system. We won't be dumping all that water back into the sea.
Has the city had any public comment or knowledge, so local property owners in that area is aware of that?
I can address that. Yes, we went through an extensive planning and zoning process, and where all of the neighbors were notified of public hearings, and the details of the system were described at those particular meetings. Just to finish that question about the quality of the water, the quality will actually be improved because we actually have sedimentation control on the property where the solids are actually removed before the water is discharged back into the ground. So there are some substantial improvements to the overall water quality to the project.
I have more questions.
No more questions? Anyone else? Any other questions? Mr. Sokolovic?
Yes, I got a couple questions about the integration of BMA into the building. You mentioned the BMA office with 8 classrooms next to it. Are those 8 classrooms for BMA, or is BMA going to have their space? And
Yeah, they're currently assigned to the BMA, and I mean, it's really up to the school how they administer the schedule in the classrooms. But we've, on the plan right now, there's set aside 8 classrooms in the offices on the 3rd floor.
how many classrooms does BMA currently have? Is that sufficient for their needs? 25. And also that sounds like I'm a little less. Also, BMA got a lot of infrastructure. I think they got an ambulance. I'm trying to go from memory.
Yeah.
Like a mock airplane.
Yeah, we have those spaces also on the ground floor.
And those
Aeronautical space and for them to do the.
and they're going to be able to move all this whole in place and put everything back in place in the new building.
Yes, there's been spaces allocated for all those areas.
And I said there's 25 classrooms in the current building and 8 in the new building. Is it possible to get them all that they need to sufficiently operate? Because if they got 8 classrooms and they need 25, will these students be dispersed throughout the building? For instance, will we have, say, 20 students on the 3rd floor in military uniform with 300 kids without military uniforms milling about? And because the structure of BMA is very particular to the uniform and the discipline. Not that the children of Bassick are not disciplined, but it's a different kind of discipline from BMA that makes BMA what it is. So I'm concerned that they may not have sufficient space for their program. And if they don't have enough space for the program, is it too late for a change order to look at these buildings, and would it be prohibitively expensive to put in this change order if necessary?
So, Mr. Sokolovic, just to speak to that, as far as changing the design or the way it was presented to the state at this point, it is definitely too late. Our funding is dependent on the enrollment of the school. So to get it to 1,250 kids, it was because we were incorporating the 2 schools. Aside from that, they were only willing to fund, I don't know if you recall, it was 1,006 kids. So now they're looking at $129 million for 1,250 kids. So I don't see how we could go back to the state and say, scratch it, we're not going to do that. That's, yeah.
Let me clarify. I talk about changing the state booklet. Will we get 1,250 students if BMA is not wholly in place? I'm just talking about reallocating the classrooms and not having them dispersed and having them all in one central location.
I don't think I follow your question.
There's currently 8 classrooms for BMA, correct?
Correct.
The current BMA has 25 classrooms. That's short, my bad. 17 short. No.
So I think the intention going in is that we have some classrooms that are called out specifically for BMA because they need specialty classrooms in their program. And I believe the idea, the concept previously was to utilize other classrooms so they can share the science classrooms, they can share other general classrooms. So they would still have the spaces for the same learning experience, but then they have specific spaces for things like their ambulance and simulation rooms, things like that.
and I'm not sure this is a question for you or not. The students are in the shared classrooms. This BMA students will be moving together from classroom to classroom, or will they be intermingling with?
Yeah, that would definitely be beyond me. I think that's more of a programming internal with the administration.
I think that's all I got for now.
Ms. Allen? Please turn on your mic.
Can speak loud enough to hear, for you to hear me. I want to know that Main Street, whenever there's a flood or some heavy rainfall, we get a large backup right there on South Main Street. And you will be able to handle this and not have that to create the water flow that currently comes into that area.
Do you want to speak to that?
She's South Main, is the very tail end.
It comes down Main Street
You go
and
right-
Broad Street there.
Literally right across.
It floods all the time whenever we have what's the name? You've taken care of the engineering part of that.
Yeah, what we've done, ma'am, is we've taken care of the water on the Bassick property itself. The project is not solving the neighborhood issues outside the property line. I want to make that totally clear. And so as a requirement of the state, we're required to not make the situation worse than it is. In other words, we're required to hold the water that falls on the property for a certain period of time so that the flood issues in the neighborhood are not made worse by the building construction. So I want to make that totally clear. As you know, there is a very extensive flood resiliency plan that the state is in the process of completing the documents.
I'm not aware of that.
Yeah, there's a very, very large project called the Resiliency Plan that is going to be addressing some of the concerns that you have by actually building berms and flood protection for the neighborhoods in this part of the city. And that's a very expensive and very extensive plan. And so that's going to help some of the things that you mentioned. But the project itself is not designed to solve the flooding issues in the south end of the city.
But it would solve the problems of the school or the building that's going to be
Right.
there.
Yes, so we've designed our building such that if there is a major flood event, this building will not be adversely affected by that flood event. So all of the systems, all of the critical systems are raised above that
You mean
flood
the
zone.
underground? You mean the underground systems?
No, I'm talking about, the building itself, right? So, the finishes, the mechanical systems, the boilers, all that kind of stuff is actually raised above that flood zone.
Okay, I don't understand how they're going to raise the flood zone when it floods.
We're raising the building itself, not the flood zone, the building. Yeah. The building is actually up above the flood waters.
Okay, we'll see.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let the record reflect, Ms. Castillo has joined us. You're gonna get a chance to say it before. I'm gonna bring it to Ms.
Mr. Benahan.
Mr. Benahan. We'll let Mr. Benahan go and then, okay.
Ladies
All
first.
right.
The resiliency project is a state project. Can we get the most updated report from it? Just to see how it would coincide with the design and plan. I understand the school won't flood, but the adjacent property owners, whether it's actually going to, we haven't actually seen an update.
From the resiliency project?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we can only speak to the Bassick High School project. Resiliency Bridgeport has their own meetings. I can give you a contact for them if you'd like.
So we're just taking Resilience word on everything's going to be good for the high school and the neighborhood.
We can't speak on the behalf of the resiliency project.
yeah,
It's
we
not
realize
ours.
that.
We can only do what we need to do for our school.
We have a school that's serving the community that could cause devastating
I
problems.
hear you, but I'm not okay with, I can't give you their plan as far as a whole for resiliency. You would need to talk to the resiliency team.
I just wonder why there's so much resistance just bringing up, we want to see the plan. You can provide us with the contact.
Our plan is one thing, we can definitely give you, but I can't speak on the behalf of another group.
If you can provide us with the contact so that way we
Absolutely.
can actually review it, that would be extremely helpful. I do have another question regarding the health and safety impact of the new Bassick High School. So we did have a presentation last year regarding new energy, I believe, with the geothermal units. Has there been any analysis as to whether the geothermal units with the proximity to Sikorsky and the former power plants, would that increase any kind of health hazards, carcinogens, or risk of cancers to the community? Has that been looked into? Because that would directly impact Bassick High School and our teachers and our students.
We're tying the high school into the plant over there by New Power, and they're going to provide the heat for the school.
Yes, but there's also, I mean, with the layout and the proximity to WPCA is not too far away, Sikorsky, the power plant, has there been any kind of research and analysis to ensure that it's actually going to be a safe site in the next 50 years for our teachers?
You're talking geothermal, where you drill a well way down on the ground and you do heat exchange?
No, I understand the new energy concept. I'm asking whether there's been a health and safety analysis to ensure that there's any risk, potential health risks, like cancers. Like if you live right in front of a gas station, you're exposed to carcinogens all the time. Whether the fact that we have this potential energy source, our traditional energy source, and the layout of the south side of Bridgeport, will that increase any potential health and safety risks? Has an analysis been performed, is my question. And if not, then that's something I would highly suggest before moving forward.
Let me answer. Yeah, I thank you for clarifying that question. I can answer it. To the best of our knowledge, there isn't any source of contaminants or sources of windborne carcinogenics. I think that's what you're talking about. The site is actually an amazingly beautiful site because it's right next to a very, very large park, and the prevailing winds actually come from that direction. They don't come from the other side where, you know, some of the power plants and things like that are. So to the best of our knowledge and belief, when we did the analysis, we did not discover any sources of contaminants that would adversely affect the site. In fact, the site is clean and ready for the new school as part of the demolition. So prior to getting here, it was a lot less clean than it is now. So,
But is there a study where I could actually look at it in the report?
well, we don't know of any sources of that particular product. I don't know if there's actually a study done. We can take a look at our files and send you whatever we have on that, if that's all right.
Oh, well, you can send what you have, but I think actually having a study to ensure the new energy source, we're going to continue to have generators running in our facilities and a proximity, I would assume from a safety standpoint, just to make sure. I'm not a science expert, but we're not making a melting pot of a disaster in the future. And that's the kind of assurance I would like to look into because that would directly impact Bassick High School.
Yeah, I don't believe there are any. I'm certainly convinced that the former location was probably more exposed than this current location, just by the nature of where it is. That's our opinion. But what we can do is we can look in the file and give you some advice on what we've found, okay?
Thank you. Then I just have another question. Is this being funded by any way by the emergency funds from the state of Connecticut? What's the source of the funding?
School construction.
Okay.
Any other questions? Wait, I just want to make sure she's all set.
No, I defer to any other board member that may have issues.
Mr. Benahan?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a few questions, and like always, Bassick, always something new, Bassick. be part of the building committee, and you guys know that I always ask questions, and I really told them I want Bassick to be done. I hate when something new always coming. When something new is coming, after that, it's a lot of questions, a lot of things. But I have a few questions for you guys, and I hope you can answer. When you say flood, and I'm going with Ms. Sybil said, how big is gonna be the school? How many feet up?
So the street elevation currently at Broad Street is about 6.5, 7 feet, and the school's going to be at 18 feet, the ground floor.
Different, and you think from 18, 18 feet, the school's gonna be safe? Is something in the flood coming? Because when God say, I'm gonna send you rain, and when God made the decision, it's nothing the human they can do. That's my question, because we never know. The weather's changed, everything.
Our best analysis is that the 500-year floodplain is at the elevation of 16. We did a whole study and calculations and with tidal waves and everything else. And then by code, we have to raise it 2 feet above the 500-year floodplain.
Okay. All right, thank you. If they decide, and I hope not, that BMA being in Bassick High School, what floor is gonna be in BMA?
So currently located on the 3rd floor, the 8 classrooms in the office.
All right, if the BMA is gonna be then in Bassick High School, they all have academic classes like a math, science, history, Spanish, biology, the OA classroom, specifically for BMA, have Bassick student. Are they gonna use the student in Bassick, are we gonna use that classroom, or it's gonna be separate? Also, the gym going to be used for formation, the gym, in the morning, in the first period onto the 8th period. So what's going on with that?
That's administrative operational question. I don't have any.
That again, sorry?
It's an operational question. I don't have any input on how they run the school and the schedules.
Because I know BMA in the morning, first thing in the morning, they have, the presentation, the kids in the morning at the gym until the 8th period, something like that. So how's the gym's gonna be working? And I just want to know if the classes from the BMA, that the Bassick is gonna be using it. I know it's gonna be in the, like you're saying, the 3rd floor, but what's gonna happen there? So, because it's gonna be back and forth. When I see it's like a big, mess the way I see it, because I don't want the staff and the principal go back and forth. No, you have to be, no, you lose, you have to be 3rd floor. No, you go to the gym. It had to be something prepared. I know I'm not saying it's your fault, guys, and you're doing the plan and everything, but for the record, I hope something be done, because it's always something new for Bassick High School. Also, I don't know if I'm true or not, that they need to be updated from the city and the state regarding the resiliences program. They are updated, because I just want to know, because we always call you guys, but we never call somebody from the city or one of the city councils or somebody come here to give it update too. Now can be all of you all the time. So, Ms. Otero?
So just to speak on the resiliency project, they do have 2 representatives from the city. One of them is John Arquidi, who also sits on the school building committee, the city engineer. And the other one is Lynn Haig from OPAD. So those would be your contacts directly with the city that might be able to give you guys like a thorough update of what's going on, because they're supposed to be part of, not really the team, but overseeing. As well as, like I said, I would share the contact person for the resiliency project so they can give you an accurate update of what's going on.
What is the big issue that BMA cannot stay exactly where they are? Why cannot be Bassick the way it's supposed to be? Like at the beginning, we talked, and I said, you guys made that decision. It was not you guys. I know you're doing your job the way it's supposed to be. But as a former PTSO, president of Bassick High School, we always decided that Bassick is going to be Bassick. Now they come from nowhere, it's my first year as a board member, they came, boom, BMA is going to be from, like I say in my public comment. That don't make sense. I feel that some staff and teachers and parents, they're not happy for this. They're not happy. They're not happy. I'm not happy either. I want BMA stay the way it is, and Bassick be stay the way it is, for the new Bassick. And let's support BMA more, because BMA High School is amazing. It's an amazing school. They have a few things. They have a lot of things that kids that can get out from here. My niece get out from BMA. He graduated when she went to Texas, and she graduated, and very loud she said, BMA in Bridgeport Military School, and she was one of the first Latina Spanish. she said what was so honored, so, you know, so very proud.
Mhm.
And I know a lot of kids here. We have one here, you know, he's sitting down here with us. He was very proud too. We got the principal. BMA is something amazing. They got so many resources for our kids. And then medicine for Bassick High School, I feel that Bassick and BMA is gonna be a mess. You know, I support the two school, but I just for the record, it's much better to have support each one of them the way it is, because sometimes the city, sometimes we have money for so many things that are not important for me. And I be in the district for almost 20 years. So let's have to be sure our school, they support the way it is and leave BMA and let help classical story. You know, and I know it's a process, and it's a protocol. I don't know, like this, you're gonna do things that are gonna be done, but let's think about our kids. Sometimes we think about us, the adults. No, we're not thinking the future of our kids. But for now, I just want to say that, Ms. Brown. Thank you. No more.
Thank you. I'm just going to go around the table for those who haven't spoken and give you guys an opportunity to share your thoughts. Ms. Castillo?
I think it looks incredible. You know, I have a close relative that worked at the old Bassick building for 12 years, and I spent a great deal of my childhood in that old building. And I have to say, it was definitely time for a new building. So I support the project. I think it looks awesome. Thank you.
Ms. Cashmere?
Thank you. I'm still new here, so I'm learning, but I don't mean to sound ignorant, but what would be the first step to keep the schools separate? Like, who would be the person to, you know, approve and say, okay, let's leave BMA where it is, go ahead and build your Bassick? Like,
so I would think,
how would that process start? I'm just curious.
And to be honest with you, I would be new to a process like that too, because I don't think we've ever come across a situation where we go, maybe that's not the way we want to go. I think that would be a conversation with the superintendent, City of Bridgeport, and the state of Connecticut, since they're funding most of this. And I don't even know where to start that, but you know, if that is the case, then we do what we got to do at our end as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Lombard?
No, I have no comments. Thank you.
And then I'll just add my comment before I bring it back to everyone else. One of the concerns that quite a few parents have brought up, and students and families and a few other meetings as well, is the fact that there isn't a big separation from BMA and Bassick within the building. And I think, you know, some of the parents that are here and some of the leaders are here want to keep that system that they've already had in motion. And I know that, you know, to Mr. Sokolovic's point, you know, we're probably too late in the process to even find monies to move things around, but it would be interesting, you know, for the parents and the students so that they could be able to, this side is Bassick, this side is BMA, so that even in the midst of the school, there's two schools operating in one building, but you know that there's a difference between the two schools operating in that one building.
Understand.
And I think that is kind of a concern of the parents, and more so the students, because there's a, you know, like Mr. Sokolovic mentioned, there's a structure that one school has and there's a structure that another school has, and they want to keep the integrity of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that will be my only concern, and just listening to some of the parents and students, that's their concern as well.
Getting lost kind of in the Bassick, yeah.
But I just want to say it for the record. I'm gonna go back to Mr. Sokolovic, and then I'll go back to you, Mr. Bennett.
Thank you.
Yes, we've heard from students, we've heard from teachers, we've heard from different people in the community. One person we haven't heard from through you, Ms. Perrin, is Ms. Soares.
Yeah.
I would like to hear her views on how things are going and what she needs to make BMA successful going forward, if you could grant her.
Well, Ms. Soares is here tonight. I asked her to come here so she could hear what was going on. We met this morning actually with Michelle, George Garcia, as well as Dr. Rayola, just to have some conversations about and address her concerns as the leader of the building, because she said she was excluded from that conversation, as well as Dr. Baldwin, and really talk about what it is that she needed. She brought forth concerns in regards to the fact that there's lots of questions that she has about how the integration will be. And she shared her concerns with us at the table as well as with Dr. Rayola about what that looks like. So she did provide a list of classrooms that are needed to be able to house BMA. But one of the things that Ms. Swords and Dr. Rayola were definitely talking about is possibly creating some integration of it for pathways that could be shared amongst BMA and BASIC moving forward, and looking at what scheduling would be. Because a lot of the questions that Mr. Benahan shared, some of the things that I'm hearing from the community is, maintaining that integrity for their own classes there. However, being that the space is limited, what we've shared is that the building is smaller than the current BASIC. That currently houses BASIC itself. So how are we going to integrate another school in that piece? So really looking at how we can do some cross collaborations through some of the grants that we have to create new pathways that are unique to the collaboration, while still allowing them to have the things that make them individual schools. You're welcome.
Mr. Benahan?
Thank you, Ms. Brown. I'm going back to what Ms. Akisha said, who decide, the situation. I know it's a protocol and everything, but for me, who decides to say how the school's running, how they're gonna be, it's the parents, it's the students. Because without students, there's no parents. Without parents, there's no more education, there's nothing, and it's very important that we have to listen to our parents. It's very important. I'm a parent. Right now, we got 9 board members, that's 6. We are parents. We here as first our parents, and then we go leaders, So that's one of the things that I prefer, that listen to our parents, or listen to our students, because they're the voice, they're the future. I'm going to ask you about the field. The fields, I know we have for soccer, and we have an amazing, great team, and I'm very proud that Bassett High School soccer team is going to the top. It's going to be using as a football too, or it's going to be only for soccer, or it's going to be for both?
It's going to be used for both.
Both? Okay.
Yep.
And I'm very surprised that Ms. Perrin, that Rayola was not here. They was invited. He's the principal of Bassett High School. So just in case for the next one, please, I'd like to see Dr. Rayola and be involved in this, because he want to be our principal of Bassett High School, please.
Dr. Rayola did have intentions of coming, but he had an issue with his child.
Okay, no, that's priority. I understand. Thank you. No more questions, Ms. Brown.
All right, I hear no other questions.
I got a question.
Oops, sorry.
Well, it's
Okay.
more of a comment. I think moving forward, we need from the city and the state an entire presentation. I understand the cultural concerns for BASIC and BMA. I'm thinking of students and teachers' health and safety with the area in general. And just because something's shiny doesn't necessarily mean that it's good. And so I want to make sure that that's presented. Project Resilience is presented to the board, and everything should be presented in full. So there's no ambiguity to us as board members, because we're going to be looked to for what's the answers. So I think those are 3 critical components: the health and safety with the way power is going to be generated and the impact to the immediate area. An entire presentation that's up to date as to how it's going to work. Timeline, and then I don't think one community forum is going to touch on all these issues, especially if we want to get people out to know how it's going to impact over 1,000 students, so potentially 1,000 families.
Thank you. We did make note of that, and we will make sure that moving forward, these are some of the things that we can address via forum and also updates at our Board of Education meetings. Yes, Mr. Benahan.
For the last, I forgot to ask, the PTSO. I know it's going to be one for Bassett High School, and I know it's being close to the security room. How's it going to be working? I know it's 2 PT, BMA have 1 and Bassett have 1. So it's going to be 2 rooms. It's going to be using 1 room. Or how's it going to, separate?
We only have 1 room. We have one room.
So the 2 PTSO present, they will be sharing the same room.
Correct.
Okay. Do you know that both have different grant money they use for all this stuff, for parents, stuff like that?
I wasn't aware.
Okay, so yes, because I don't want that later to be issue and I'll be email Ms. Perrin or the chair that, listen, this is what's going on. They use this stuff. So it's something they took different, there's the same grant, but they different money. So I just want to let you know that for the record. All right, thank you. No more questions.
And I think that's a space question. How large enough the room will be to house both.
You don't know off the top of your head.
Yeah, I could get you the information as far as square footage goes, but.
Thank you. What I would like to say before moving on to our next agenda item is that there is a forum that is going to be taking place. Ms. Perrin and the staff has put together a flyer that will be out. She did mention it in her report as well, but I just want to bring it to your attention again. For anyone that's interested on furthering this conversation, please attend the meeting. It will be Wednesday, January 25th, 2003. 6:00 p.m. to 8:00 p.m. and it will be at this location. So I encourage you to tell families, I encourage you to tell students from both BMA and BASIC and homeowners to come and attend this meeting. And this is not directed to you, but just the overall. To attend this meeting, to voice their concerns. There will be an opportunity for us to write them all down and be able to categorize where we can, put our energies towards some of the very same questions Ms. Baptiste Perez has mentioned as well. So anyone that's listening online, anyone that's here in the room, please go out to your respective communities, respective organizations, and invite them to attend this meeting. I think the room should be packed with parents and students voicing their concerns or voicing their praises. Either way, I think the floor is open and hopefully we'll be able to have some more representation that could be able to speak on those particular issues and answer what they can answer. And then we come together and, talk to those that we need to get those other answers from. But thank you all for presenting tonight.
Thank you.
At this moment, and I failed to do this, to say Happy New Year to everyone. The Board of Education, we were talking and trying to create outline goals for the district this year. So I tasked the Board of Education members to think of a goal or goals that they would like to see us as a board accomplish this year. So each board member is going to have an opportunity to share what they think their goal is and any type of strategic items, ideas that we as a board can accomplish. And then, further on, we'll outline them and see what are the ones that we can do in the very beginning and those that may be long-term goals. So this is discussion and possible action concerning Board of Education, board goals for 2023. A lot of our community partners has asked, what is the board's goals? So this was our task, our homework, and we're going to keep it open and honest to dialogue amongst each other for this particular item. So if there's any board member that would like to go first, I know one has asked to go last, but I will open up the floor for that opportunity. If not, I can just call off people. Ms. Baptiste Perez.
I'll start off very short and sweet. I think as a goal for the district, we should have no school, no grade level with 100% failure. I've seen that in teaching and learning. We have grades where not even one child in that classroom has passed the test. And I've had distinguished members of the community laugh at me for that goal, but I think it is a realistic goal. I think we can use the data in the district to target and see if there's a consistent teacher that may be struggling, that may need assistance, if there's a rotation of substitute teachers in that particular grade. It can have a domino effect if you have 100% of your fourth graders not able to pass the state exam, but then going into middle school. So that's an educational goal that I have for the district, is that there should be no class or grade with 100% failure on the state exam.
And I just want to add, and we can comment on her goal as well. Is there any actionable item or actionable strategic process that you think that we can help either address or assist staff members as we try to maintain or go for this goal?
When addressing this particular goal, I think the data is going to be key. We have schools that are not necessarily performing. And we need to look into how many of our teachers may actually be certified. And in the case where we do have long-term subs where they're not obligated to take professional development, maybe we can find ways to incentivize that it happens so we can ensure that they're going to be efficient for our students for the time being when they don't have their certification. I think that being able to identify, that's why, like, if we know Mr. Smith has been teaching 4th grade at, I'm going to just make up a school because I don't want to insinuate any particular school, but at Apple School. And for the last 4 years, Mr. Smith has been failing, or 100% of his students has been failing. What can we do to help him as a teacher? And is there something where 100% of the 3rd grade before, the year before, we need to actually look into the data and be able to support our teachers and being able to come up with a goal like that? Because I think that is actually a reasonable and attainable goal, is that we don't have 100% failure.
Thank you. Is there anyone like to comment on that particular goal? All right, hearing none, I'll turn over to Ms. Castillo.
I would like to, so recently, Ms. Brown, Mr. Sokolovic, myself, I'm not sure if there's anyone else at that state rep meeting.
Say it again.
Oh, Ms. Perrin was there at the state, at the meeting that we met with state legislators.
Mr. Benahan.
Mr. Benahan, that's right, he was virtual. So some of us attended a meeting recently with state legislators, and you know, we were able to have a conversation about more creative ways of advocating for more money in the budget. I think it's clear that our local government, the city, could be and should be doing a lot more to contribute to our funding. I think the state is doing a lot, but I think that a lot more can be done at the local level. So I would like to make it a personal goal, and I'd like to also implore my colleagues here to make it a personal goal to really become present in the advocacy space, so that when the opportunities throughout the year sort of present themselves to come forward and to advocate for more dollars, that we all commit to doing so. So, I do think that there are other ways that we can be creative about funding. So I'll make it a personal goal to connect with some of the people that were in that room and see if there's if they have some suggestions. They had some suggestions at the table, but to further the conversation about things that we can do as board members to open up doors for increased funding, especially at the local level.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to comment on that goal? Mr. Sokolovic?
Thank you. I agree 100% with Ms. Castillo, and I'll take it a step further. Every single board member sitting here should be in every space advocating for more money. It is our responsibility. If you're not there speaking at public, speaking for the city council or groups or in front of the state when we come up to state testimony, believe you me, you will be sitting there when you tell people they cannot have their jobs anymore, and you will be voting to cut those jobs. You will be voting to close a school if you do not speak up now and get there. We were elected to fight for our children, fight for money, and we need 100% attendance, 100% focus of every single board member on the budget, and we need to advocate strongly and fiercely. And sometimes you gotta break a few eggs to make an omelet, so don't be afraid to speak up and make noise.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to comment on that particular goal? What I will say, and I've spoken to Ms. Perrin and I've spoken to some of our leaders for the special education department. I'm looking to refer this to finance and any of the finance team of actually tackling that goal that he mentioned about creating a new funding source that could be 3 to 4 years that can support a specific issue or goal that our students can respond to. And right now we know that special education is huge in Bridgeport. So I'll be working, my goal this year is to work with Ms. Perrin, Mr. Sokolovic, and those teachers that are on board to really see something like that actually, go from paper to actual building or progress or student. So that's one of the things that we've been talking about, and the support from the staff has been, just hearing their ideas was really breathtaking. So, the legislation, those that were in office basically said, give us something to give you money to. So now we're going to give you something to put money to. So that's one of our projects that I thought I took out of that meeting. So I look forward to working with finance and Ms. Perrin and the rest of the staff to create a project that the state can't say no to, because you came to our meeting and said you need something, you need evidence of something to put money towards. So to your point. The next person I'll call is Ms. Ms. Kashmir, I apologize.
That's okay. It's interesting because what everybody has said so far is what I agree to be a goal, but I kind of took a step back and I went on the Center for Public Education website. And what I found interesting on here is I kind of took a step back and I said, let me read this. It was the 8 characteristics of an effective school board. 8 characteristics. I'll just go really quickly. Effective school boards commit to a vision of high expectations for student achievement and quality instruction and define clear goals toward that vision. Effective school boards have strong shared beliefs and values about what is possible for students and their ability to learn, and of the system and its ability to teach all children at high levels. Number 3, effective school boards are accountability driven, spending less time on operational issues and more time on focusing on policies to improve student achievement. Number 4, effective school boards have a collaborative relationship with staff and the community and establish a strong communication structure to inform and engage both internal and external stakeholders in setting and achieving district goals. Effective boards are data savvy. Effective boards align and sustain resources such as professional development, which I know we're doing, to meet district goals. Number 7, effective school boards lead as a united team with the superintendent, each from their respective roles with strong collaboration and mutual trust. And the last one is effective school boards take part in team development and training, sometimes with their superintendents, to build shared knowledge, values, and commitments for their improvement efforts. And so I know that there are other school boards around the state that do a retreat. The Board of Education will do a retreat. We'll go somewhere together and do team building activities, which I think is just fabulous. It's dynamite. So I think I just said all that to just say it was interesting to look at the research and see what other school boards are doing in order for me to come here and say, okay, I think, this is what we should do. I definitely want to honor what's already in place and what's already been done, but just a more but a high functioning board team, individually and collectively. And that's pretty much all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to share any thoughts on that specific goal? Mr. Sokolovic.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that. That's one of the things I was thinking about as well. Is the reason I want to go last because I got a few myself. But to your point, to be an effective board, we got to see where we are now. I think this board needs to do a self-evaluation of each other and ourselves, constructive criticism, not destructive criticism, of course, and see where we could do better, where we're doing well, what we could do better, and go from there. I think maybe we should schedule a self-evaluation for ourselves. And
thank you. Anyone else would like to add to that goal? The next,
I was
yes,
going to add to that goal, sorry, Madam Chair. I agree. I think it's part of my field. As an attorney, I have to take continuing legal education courses every year, so I'm on top of my field. We're funded through the district to take CAPE courses, so maybe aligned with that is requiring that board members actually take a CAPE course or do CAPE have different policies, advocacy. I mean, we're also part of Greater City Schools. So it's a small bias towards CAPE because I get more emails from them. But the fact is that there are a plethora of learning opportunities, as well as even a course where they teach about legislative advocacy and how to interpret that particular legislative act, that I think would be beneficial. And maybe we should just hold it to the board, that maybe we set a goal and have, I don't know, maybe a lunch and learn. I attended this meeting. This is what I got. I think it's valuable. And even if it's not a lunch, maybe just an email, so we can share knowledge amongst ourselves as to how we're going to move and improve this district.
Absolutely. And I know everyone is volunteers on here. No one is paid, but also too, a lot of the information that we receive is new to some of us. And I know that one thing that board members have to learn sometimes straight out the gate is how do you even conduct a meeting, Robert Rules of Order. And the public automatically assumes that you come in as elected official and you should automatically know, but everyone's coming from different backgrounds, different places. So I think even adding that as a part of, maybe we do get together and we do some type of, retreat. Maybe it's not because everybody has crazy job schedules, but do something where we can go over these things as a unified unit. So when we come into meetings, it's more communication, it's more, it flows, and no one feels, because they are not in this level of, or this career, that they're not familiar with it. And I would also just like to applaud board members on this board for taking the time out to encourage other board members. And this is stuff that you don't see at a board meeting, but these are conversations that happen behind closed doors. And, just acknowledging, saying like, hey, this is the proper way to do, to address an agenda item. This is a proper way to say a motion. These things are, I think the public often don't understand that these are normal people stepping up to elected official position and expected to act and to perform at a high level. And most people will probably say, well, you knew what you were getting into when you decided to run, but no one understands behind the scenes of what that work looks like. So I personally, as board chair, would like to highlight, board members behind closed doors, and I won't acknowledge your names because they may not want to, that have taken that opportunity to help educate each other without shaming each other for not knowing certain things on the board. And I think that has been very well, especially we have a new board member. I think we should rally around each other, and where someone lacks in one area, we should lift up and, educate each other, because I think that's the only way we're going to function well, instead of assuming we know everything going into it. So that would just be my little piece to add on there. The next person I would like to ask is Ms. Allen. Do you have any board goals that you would like the board to accomplish? Any goals for the board this year? Please turn it.
I think that we should prepare ourselves more, because I know that sometimes I'm not totally prepared, and I think that we should get our packets earlier, or at least a day before, and so that we can operate with due diligence. I think so.
Thank you. Anyone would like to add to Ms. Allen's goal? All right. I'm going to turn to Mr. Benehan. We're just going around the table talking about our.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. One of them, a big goal is we had to stay working together as a team. We had to communicate more. I know this year, and I can say we're trying to work together. Now we're going to work more together. Having people that they care, people they understand, people they communicate each other, and we had to bring the information out. Like I say, I want the staff, all the staff from Bridgeport School, to understand that we're here to help them, to support them, to listen to them, not to get scared because the superintendent show up or one of the board members show up to the school. Oh, everybody gets scared. No, they need to break that. They need to break the ice. I know before formers, there was trouble, but we are not here to trouble. We're here to listen. That's what the reason we are board members. That's the reason that people, the community elect us as a board because they trust us. When somebody vote for you and care about you, it's because they trust. And when somebody trusts me, I take that so seriously. And I'm a person, man of word. When somebody talks to me, I take that word seriously before I signature. So I want the message be out. With the camera? Okay, over there. Be sure that we're here to support the staff, to listen to the staff. I know sometimes we got protocol and we got policy. Yes, we got to follow, and we don't have a problem with that. But I want they understand that we're here to listen to them. We got situation that we cannot resolve. We got situation is not our protocol or policy. That's why they got the supervisors or the union, and that's why I really have experience there. Can come to me and I say, no, that's not my protocol. That's why you have your supervisor, contact the people. But I listen to them. I don't like they get the board member ignoring me. He came with attitude. No. One of the reasons the message is that all the staff from Bridgeport School, first, I appreciate all the hard work. It's not easy what they're doing, especially when they have short so many things, short staff, short equipment, short supplies, short so many things. And sometimes they take it out from the pocket to be sure things are being done and our students be happy that they understand we're here to help them. My phone, my email is always 24/7. I would like to listen to them and they understand we're here to help, work together. What us as a board member, we can help them so they can get successful and they get a great education for our kids. So that's the message for me. Whatever we had to do, we had to do. We work together. So far, everyone is doing an amazing job, and I'm glad to be the board. And this is for last year as a board member, and I hope thank God it guide me to be run again as a board member because I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna give up. I don't know we don't get paid for this, but it's in my blood, it's in my soul. So be so many years, almost 20 years in the district. It's my passion to help our parents, our students, and our staff. We're not perfect, only God. We make mistakes, but I know, like always I send it, you can read it in the bottom of my email. With great communication, we can get successful. And I hope, Ms. Perry, you stayed with us, so far. I like, everything you do, the great job you're doing, and I hope we can be working together. As I always say, family. Thank you. That's my report.
Anyone would like to comment on Mr. Vinahan's goal? Right. Mr. Lombard, would you like to share your goal?
Yes, thank you. I have a specific goal. It's something that's been talked about, I know, in the Teaching and Learning Committee before, a committee that I'm on, and my understanding is that diversity, equity, and inclusion has talked about this, and that students and families have talked about this. And it's kind of interesting. It's kind of on the other end of the spectrum that Ms. Baptiste Perez was talking about with students not achieving the standards. And also I should say what you mentioned, Ms. Brown, about needing to provide a specific item for funds to go toward. I'm very interested in providing access to our advanced level courses for our high school students, especially those students those courses which provide the opportunity to earn college credit. My understanding from the discussion that I was in is that for various reasons, nothing nefarious, all opportunities that are available in a particular school for that type of earning of college credit are not necessarily available in another high school. And I think that's something, I understand why it came up in the equity discussion. I do. Obviously, I understand why it came up in students and families, because parents are deciding where they want their kids to go to school for various reasons. And absolutely, it's a teaching and learning issue. Just to put it out there, there's so many aspects to this. But one is, for example, there may be an instructor who's qualified to teach a certain higher level course, and that instructor is one person in one building, and they're not in the other buildings. So the students in the other buildings may not have that opportunity. So I'd like to see something that could be done to make it available for all of our high school students. They could all have the same access to all those opportunities to earn college credit. And like I said, this is the other end of the spectrum. And I don't know if that would be with some type of remote capability along with the teacher in their classroom with students in other buildings, tuning in remotely. I don't know if it would be having more staffing. I don't know what it would be, but I think it's something that doesn't necessarily have to be an expensive solution, but it could definitely be very worthwhile for students and parents, and the district as a whole. So that's my goal, is that we can in some way expand the offering so that everything is available to everybody. Given obviously there may be a situation where the facility itself it has hardware that's not available, but I don't know that, but as much as possible, that's what I would say. And then I would just like to piggyback onto what Mr. Benahan and Ms. Kashmir said, because those thoughts were in my mind in a general respect. And actually, that's a good word, respect. I first of all respect our current composition on this board. This is my more than fourth year, because I was first eight months appointed, and I've never seen attendance as good as it's been in the past year. And aside from some occasional outbursts, which I hope can be held back between us, we pretty much are very civil to each other, given the fact that we all have our own perspectives and some I should even say agendas that may be in conflict with one another, but nonetheless, it's so important to try to be civil to each other, because it makes all the difference. So I want to say thank you to all of you for the way it has been basically for the past year. So I think that's a good thing. And then also, I know we have in the past done some professional development. I know we did a Robert Rules of Order meeting or training with all of us. We all got together on a Saturday, and yeah, I do think any other opportunities, hopefully for the time being, something I could tune into remotely, but pretty soon it would be in person. So I think those are great ideas. So I want to piggyback on that. And then the last thing I want to say is that all of us have our own particular style, interest, abilities, know-how, and energy around different topics. So where I cannot and would not disagree with Mr. Sokolovich's comment about everyone needing to be at all these advocacy and financing and so forth, I would also just like to say that we all have our own areas that we have more passion around. Clearly, we need money to keep the doors open and keep the schools open. But some people are better at some things than others. So I just wanted to say that because, as you said, Ms. Brown, we are all volunteers, and we have to keep in mind what motivates one board member who is choosing to do this. Any one of us may not be the same thing as motivates another. And so I think most that we can respect and uplift one another for what we bring to the table, the better. So thank you.
Thank you. Are there any comments for Mr. Lombard's goal? Yes, Ms. Castillo.
To speak on your first point, Mr. Lombard, about your goal to increase access to high achieving students, to have more opportunities for college level courses, I think that's a great goal. Many of you know I work in higher education. I'm in admissions, and I'm familiar with a lot of community colleges and high schools, even universities that pair well with high schools in their local areas. I see it all the time on transcripts, students that are taking college level classes, and my territory at work is not Connecticut, it's Long Island and Queens, so I see that a lot in those areas, and I'm not sure how that is playing out in our district, but it's a very valid and good point. And I in the same vein of speaking about things that energize us and things that we're passionate about, I can definitely get behind that goal and commit to maybe studying some models that are successful between the higher education and high school. Between institutions of higher education and high schools that work, that again, maybe don't have a big bearing on cost. So that's something that excites me and I feel positive about. So thank you for bringing that to the goals. I also wanted to just add same sentiment that everyone's been kind of touching base on. It's a new year, I think typically people enter into a new year, they have a new desire to approach the year with some, with a different attitude. And so, I would also like to see us be better about communicating with each other. To also add to what Mr. Benahan was saying, I also want to be mindful about what is this a very millennial term, but subbing each other. There's things that can be said directly to one another in a respectful way. I think it's more helpful that way. Many of us who sit here are already sort of operating in marginalized spaces as it is. Me as a Latina, me as somebody from Bridgeport, me as a woman, to feel attacked or, constantly receiving offhanded comments from people who are operating in the same space as me. Like, we don't need that, We need to be better about working together and encouraging each other and being kind to one another. Like Mr. Lombard said, there's definitely people that are better in different areas, and that's fine. I think that we all bring value to the board in different ways for that reason. So I would like to see that improvement in 2023 as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Benahan?
Yes, I'm going back with Mr. Lombard said. Mr. Lombard, I know for the time I know you, I have to say thank you for your valuable time. You be so professional and you're so kind that you understand what we're going through. And you're a kind of person that you understand our parents and students, is your passion, and I respect that. So I will appreciate everything you do for the board. And I hope, you keep with us, and don't go nowhere. But I really respect everything you do. I really appreciate you're a very smart person, and I know you care about the future of our students and the benefit of our parents. Thank you.
All right. Our last one is Mr. Sokolovic.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As far as goals and objectives, I waited for last because I had them. I've been here a while, so. We need to set an evaluation for the superintendent, and in order to do that, we've got to come collaborate with her to get some goals and objectives in order to prepare an effective evaluation. And also, we also need to update our strategic plan. It's supposed to be done every 3 years. It's been, I think, about 5 since we've dusted off the old strategic plan. And that's up to us as a board and the staff to collaborate on that as well. And I'd also like to look at everything that we've been missing for a while. As far as passions and different things and the way we've behaved over the years, I would like to say for the past 4 years or so, we've had somewhat of a dysfunctional board and things were not being done that should have been done. And I know I'm loud, I know I'm passionate, and I know I rub people the wrong way. But that was under an old board. I will try to do better to assist people. And as far as people's passions being different and having different strengths and weaknesses, not one person's passion can be satisfied without the money. So anybody who wishes assistance on testimony and providing testimony, I'm more than happy to help you. I'm more than happy to make the bullet points. I know money gets boring sometimes. You listen to 3-4 hour presentations on the budget, but it's something that's very necessary to accomplish each and every goal that was mentioned here this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. And I believe we've done everyone. Pretty much I've mentioned mine, which is definitely getting the board to be able to work as a collaborative effort as one another. And then my biggest one is going to be the project that I'll work with finance and Ms. Parent to really see for support financially from the state concerning Department of Education for our students. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is I am going to ask each of you, if you can, send your email language, your goal language to me. And then what we'll do is, and this is a continued process. So for anyone that is watching and viewing, goals they take time. So as we are building our goals and then addressing them one at a time, every once in a while, there will be an item that I hope to bring to the board where we see how far we are with either one or more goals so that we are held accountable for what we said tonight that we're going to do as a board moving forward. So if that's okay with everyone, that's something that I would like to, add to our agenda, at least, so forth until, things have been accomplished. And to the public that is listening, like I said, it will not be tonight we have this goal completed. Like Mr. Sokolovic said, it's going to take some time, but I do think all of these are achievable goals here on the board. Thank you, everyone, for bearing with us for that moment. The next agenda item for us is discussion and possible approval of the new logo for the district. I'm going to call Mrs. Henry up to do this, and I'm excited that she's here to present on this item.
Hi.
Oh, and Mr. Jeff. Sorry, Mr. Jeff.
Good evening, everyone. When I began almost 2 years ago, the superintendent and Board of Ed asked me to begin collecting ideas from students about rebranding and designing a new logo. So back in September and October in 2021, we solicited design ideas from students. From there, we reviewed it with the board, we shared ideas, we expanded the solicitation to include K-8 students. We have had numerous meetings over the course of the last year and a half to review themes, look at different ideas. We've looked at logos, we've tweaked logos, we've developed different colors and approaches. And the final design that the branding committee landed on should be on your table. I want to break down a couple of details in the logo for you all. Does everybody have a copy? Okay, great. So the concept of the design is that we have the Bridgeport City skyline in the background with the Barnum Museum, the bank buildings, and the lighthouse in Black Rock. The students represented are there showing diversity in our districts. They're also wearing the colors of the 5 different high schools. So BMA is the navy blue, Bassick is the green, Central is red, Harding is yellow, and Fairchild Wheeler is the steel gray color. We have the wavy line in the front to represent our proximity to the Long Island Sound. And we have the green writing because we're the Park City. So those were the ideas behind the logo. In December, once the branding committee decided that this was the logo that they wanted to move forward with, Jeff graciously helped us solicit information and feedback from the community, staff, and students. We sent out 4 or 5 Parent Square requests asking for feedback from the community. As you can see on page 2 with the data, we actually had a really strong response rate. We had almost 4,000 responses, which is almost double what we usually get on surveys. So we were really excited about that feedback. As you can see, the family sentiment came back at 4.01, and then the staff and students came back at 3.79. I do want to point out that the family sentiment was the majority of the votes, if you look at the numbers of submissions. And so I open it to you all for comments and questions.
Sure. I will open up the floor for anyone that would like to add any comments or questions for Ms. Henry or Mr. Jeff on the survey side of things.
I have a question.
Yes.
I took the survey. I'm just curious which bucket I would fall into for the survey.
You would be family and community.
Gotcha. Thank you.
I believe, or?
That's correct.
Yes.
Any other questions? Yep. Go ahead.
How many students were involved in the?
So the students were all sent the same 4 requests to take the survey, and I believe the response rate between students and staff was just over 700.
Thank you.
Mr. Lombard, I know I didn't ask you.
Actually, I don't have a question about the survey, but I just wanted to comment. The logo is such a nice mixture. It's sophisticated and simple at the same time. I just really like it. That's all. want to say thank you.
Thank you.
And then I'm gonna just see if there's any special comments from board members that were actually on the committee. Ms. Castillo?
Yeah, thank you for that comment, Mr. Lombard. We also, just to add to, your name escapes me.
Sarah Jane.
Sarah Jane. Just to add to what Sarah Jane just shared, we also tested the way this logo performs on different, billboards, mugs, pens, what do you call it, letterhead.
Right, on
you know.
backgrounds, yep.
Right, and so it does perform well in many different contexts. It also performs very well in black and white. It performs, like, even in black and white, you can still see, the sort of character of the students that are involved here. I think diversity was also an important element that we wanted to come through in the representation of the logo. And that's it. I just wanted to add those couple of other things that I think I was involved in us arriving at this place, and I feel very proud of the work that we've done. I felt that it was very thorough, and I think we landed in a very good space. I'm proud of it.
Mr. Benahan? No comments. I guess I would like to add as well. I chair this committee. I want to say thank you to both Mr. Jeff and Mrs. Henry for the countless conversations, the revisions, you name it all. We really appreciate it because it does take a lot to get feedback, but also takes, to the design team for taking the time to capture ideas and thoughts for it. And it was really awesome to include Ms. Perrin in this process as well as the interim superintendent. So I'll leave my comments to just turn it over to Ms. Perrin real quick. So if you have any comments you would like to add, being that, you'll be behind this completely.
So one of the things that I noticed when I went to the first meeting, I looked at it and it caught me that it represented so well what our students, who they are, who they represent, and being that we have such diversity in the district, I thought it was a great way to capture who our children are, what our high schools represent, and the different things that make us unique as Bridgeport. A lot of times when you hear about Bridgeport, being from Bridgeport, being raised here, being educated here and working here, you've always heard negative things, right? You hear things, especially about the education system and about our children. So when you see something like this, it really ties it all together to show the positivity that we have, what we're representing, and the direction that we're going toward. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for your efforts. I think that the community was definitely vested in looking at this and seeing that it was a representation of our great city. So thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Quick question.
Ms. Cashman, go ahead.
I know that you said the squiggly lines represent the sound. What about the two diamond-shaped things on the end? Is that some kind of significance? Just wondering.
Not specifically, it just closes the logo off. It gives it a boundary.
And before we move on to motion, I would like to say thank you to Mr. Sokolovic, who had played a really good role in eyesight and looking and going over. So just want to give you your thanks because, not being on the committee, but showing up to he was there at all of them to give his input. And I thought that was very, very good. And, his biggest thing is if you look on there is the green. He wants to make sure that the public schools is in green. So
And the G.
Yeah.
He wanted a different G.
Yes, and the G. So at this moment, yep. Go ahead,
Quick
Ms.
question.
Castillo.
Is there, I'm not sure if we have like an audience online, but I don't know if they can see the logo.
Can we, Mr. Sam, is it possible?
Or can we bring it up on the screen so those in the room can see it, or maybe we can.
I gave them all paper copies.
Okay.
I could hand out copies.
Can we bring it up on the screen for the online, for anyone who might be viewing online? Because we're all talking about this logo. They're probably looking like, what are they talking about? Before we vote on it.
He's looking for it.
Okay, thank you.
Sam, I believe I emailed it to you last Wednesday or Thursday, if you search your email.
There we go. I mean, I don't know, did you want it to be bigger or?
There you go, they're zooming
There you
in.
go.
Yeah, it was just for
Getting there.
accessibility for anyone online who might be wondering what we were talking about. I just want to make sure everybody could see it. Yeah, that's it. That's good. Thank you.
Got it. All right, so at this moment, so this is an item that will need board approval to move forward. So at this moment, I will entertain a motion to approve this new logo.
So moved.
Okay, so moved by Ms. Castillo. I'm gonna give it to Ms. Allen, okay, Mr. Lombard?
That's
Second by
fine.
Ms. Allen. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Abstain.
Motion carries.
That's abstain, you heard me?
Yes.
Okay. But if, for the record, Ms. Brown, for abstain, because I don't like people say why the reason Mr. Bennett abstained. The reason I'm saying is because I feel that when I asked for my request months before about the logo, how they look like, how we can present to the thing, you know, how to present to the people, how to present to us, the committee and everything, I feel I was ignoring my request. That's the way I feel. So, and I request that months before and everything, and it was done. And like I said, that's why the reason I'm abstaining. So I just want to put that for the record. Thank you.
Duly noted. Mr. Bennett has abstained. Motion does carry. So we have a new logo. What we'll do is, in the meantime, which I think will happen, maybe we can find out exactly like what the process, because I remember Mr. Jeff stating that preparing new badges, like there's a whole system that may need to take place. So I don't know.
Yeah, we have a whole host of different things queued up for this. Now that it's done with the superintendent's directive, we'll obviously carry forward with that as well.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
The next item on our agenda is discussion and possible action on RFQ to find a crisis management public relations firm for the district. This item came out of the branding committee. The branding committee saw a need to support the superintendent in the district when it came to crisis issues and how those issues were presented to the public, letting parents know as well as community leaders. I believe Mr. Pires is the individual that would talk on this item if he's up there. No? Well, Ms. Siegel's here. So Ms. Siegel, the floor is yours.
Thank you and good evening.
Good evening.
I do not have presenter rights, so at the moment I am not able to share the draft RFQ on the screen. Jeff, are you able to give me presenter rights?
Or Mrs. Sam? Okay. You should be all set, Ms. Siegel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this point, you should be able to see the screen.
Yes.
This is a draft request for qualifications that we prepared in response to the request of the branding committee. And the branding committee identified 5 areas for services, and those areas are listed on the screen: risk assessment, mitigation and consultation services, reputation management, full service crisis communication planning, crisis communication training for administrators and senior staff in the district, and development and implementation of crisis response plans, including training. We indicated that it would be the intent of the Board of Education to engage the firm that is ultimately selected when under contract on an as needed and as requested basis to provide designated services, each with a specified goal, at the contracted hourly rate. So the intent would be for this type of service to operate in a manner similar to that of legal services, which means that when you need the service, you would ask the firm that's under contract to provide that service. And the firm would then bill for that service based on the contracted rate. And we indicated that in operational practice, the superintendent on behalf of the board would request the quotation based on the rate schedule in the contract prior to authorizing initiation of any service. Now, we also indicated that, and I'm just looking for the section so I can show it on the screen. Yes, we indicated that it would be anticipated that the board would enter into, at a minimum, a 3-year contract with an option to renew for up to 2 additional years. Now, as I believe everyone is aware, as of July 1 of 2022, the city charter was modified by the city council to allow for contracts to have 5-year terms. And so this could be written as anticipating a 5-year term, or it could be written as anticipating a 3-year term, as it's currently written, with an option to renew for up to 2 additional years. So that would be at your discretion. And we also indicated in item 5 on this page that it is projected that the annual expenditure for crisis management public relations services would be in the range of $2,500 to $50,000 per year. Obviously, we're not able to make an accurate prediction of what the actual cost factor would be, but I think in some years, perhaps the expenditure would be $5,000. In other years, it might be $20,000. It would depend upon the need and the requests that are made to the selected firm. Now, this document has not been reviewed by Legal Services. It has not been submitted to the Contracts Committee at this point. It was prepared at the request of the Branding Committee in order to delineate a process and indicate the template that would be used in order to put that process into place. So if the board wants to go forward, we would then have the draft reviewed by the city attorney's office and submitted to the Contracts Committee, which would then bring the final version to the board for approval.
Thank you, Ms. Siegel. I'll open up the floor for any questions. Mr. Sokolovic?
Yes, I got a question as far as the timeline. Since this is a relatively new service, is it maybe more prudent to enter into a 1-year agreement in case we don't, like, if the firm's not a good fit, we don't want to be locked into 3 years, and like maybe a 1-year contract renewable up to 5 years or something like that? I don't know if that would make more sense to everybody or not.
Yeah.
So motion to amend the RFQ to read 1 year with up to 4 1-year renewals.
Second.
Okay, it's been seconded by Ms. Castillo. Discussion. Let's vote on the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I say no. I would want to run it through. Does it run through the same kind of contractual obligations like the transportation contract where it has to be 3 years?
Ms. Siegel?
No, it does not have to be 3 years. I'm modifying it on the screen now for your consideration. We can certainly modify it to read for a 1-year term commencing on or about July 1, 2023, with an option to renew for up to 4 additional years.
I still, this is just for the amendment, so I'll stick to my no.
Okay. All right, so, motion carries. Now I'll entertain a motion.
We still
Oh,
have discussion, Ms. Brown.
Huh?
We haven't had full range of discussion.
Oh, sorry, my bad. Anyone else discussion?
Can I? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, so can you break this down for me? Like, just give me a couple of examples of, what do you call it? Like a crisis that we might potentially go through that this firm would be able to help. But like, can you just give me like a couple of examples? Because I know I see, like risk management and reputation management, but just a couple of quick examples. Maybe under, Ms. Siegel? Yeah, I guess I was talking to Ms. Siegel.
Well, I think that it would be the board or the superintendent who can describe the types of situations that might require these types of services.
Okay.
So one of the things, say for instance, if there's a crisis at the school, a major fire, unfortunately, God forbid, if there's like a shooting, something that happens on the campus that will impact the whole community, it could be gang violence, something in the neighborhood that might impact the school. Those are types of conversations that we would engage in to be able to direct appropriately.
That's what I needed. Thank you so much.
And if it's okay, if I can add to that, one of the reasons that this particular thing, we were thinking of an overall plan for communications for the whole entire district. The Board of Ed doesn't have a director of communications at all. So 9 times out of 10, something will get leaked out in the public, and the superintendent hasn't even had the right amount of time to respond to it professionally so that she could be able to address parents, staff, and moving forward. So that was one reason in doing that. So the risk management actually came down. Ms. Siegel had asked the committee to think about one specific area that we thought that we can really aim for. So we wanted to be able to support the district that way, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much. It makes plenty of sense. Thanks.
Any other individuals would like to share on discussion for this item?
I had something and I forgot. No, it's okay. It's okay. I'm looking through here to see if I'll, like, any light bulbs would go off. But it's not coming to me right now. If I remember, I'll share. But I will say one thing that I think is attractive about this also, in addition to the crisis management piece, the reputation management, I think, is key. I'm sorry, I have like a family thing going on over here, and I don't know how to mute my watch, so I apologize. But as Ms. Perrin shared earlier about reputation management, I don't know that that's something we've ever had, but I think we can agree that it's an issue, right? Not just within the district, but also externally. And so I think it would be nice to have that piece. There's also the streamlining of communications when crisis occurs that I think is important, very important. We have had issues with that as well, where things happen in the district and it's like, who does the communication come from? Who's notifying the parents? How timely do we have to be? What does the messaging need to look like? And so, a firm that specializes in crisis management would certainly have the resources to advise on that, but also just developing a crisis response plan, I think, is also important. I'm going to go through this and see if I can remember my question though.
Got it. Yep. Ms. Perrin?
And just to add on to what Ms. Castillo shared specifically in regards to the reputation piece, as we know that there is a teacher shortage across the whole nation. And as we are trying to engage and attract people to come serve as our scholars here, we need to be mindful of that. And I think that they will be a great benefit to us.
I'm gonna, Mr. Lombard, I'm sorry if I missed you. Would you like to share any, for discussion on this item?
No, thank you.
All right, so, I will entertain a motion to vote on.
Ms. Brown?
Yes, sorry.
I had a comment. I will say, just from the contracts committee, let's engage how many votes or how many opportunities we get from the 1-year term. Because what I've seen in contracts is that we get one bid. Multiple times, just one bid. And so with the 1 year, if depending on our feedback, we may want to come back and amend that if it's going to be more enticing for crisis management. Because that's the only thing I could think of with the contracts committee is not having a lot of offers for any company to come and work in this district. And so what's going to be more appealing for them to come in? There can always be some kind of a clause in the contract where if we're not satisfied with the performance or anything like that, a cancellation or termination. So, but that's the only thing I could think of. That's why I'm like hesitant with 1 year, but I understand the not wanting to get into a 5-year contract, but there's always language you can put into contract. And before approving this, we should still have legal go through it.
Yes. Okay.
Ms. Siegel?
So I'm sorry,
Sorry.
will you finish?
Yeah, no, that's the last comment because Ms. Siegel did mention that it has not gone through legal.
Yeah, that was my question. My question was, what was the plan for it going to legal? What does that process look like? And also if there's a cost for it?
There is not any cost for the city attorney to review an RFP or an RFQ. In fact, the city attorney's office requires that all requests for qualifications and requests for bid be reviewed by the legal office. I'm presuming that if the board votes this evening to pursue this RFQ, that our next step internally, meaning through my office, will be to submit the RFQ to the city attorney for review, and then to proceed to place it on the agenda of the contracts committee.
Thank you, Ms. Siegel. All right, so I will entertain a motion to push the RFQ to find a crisis management public relations firm. I'm sorry.
Can I state the motion?
Yes, you may.
I raise a motion that the Board of Education approve the RFQ for a 1-year crisis management company, subject to approval from the city attorney, to then be moved to the contracts committee.
Is there a second?
Someone.
Yeah, I just want to, can you repeat your motion, please?
Make a motion to approve the crisis management. Well, you know, what were we so moving? So let me go back up to it.
I actually thought there was already a main motion and we already amended it, or to be.
Yeah.
Did we vote for the amendment?
We did vote to the amendment.
There was a procedural mishap that Violet's slide. I mean, we've amended the language.
Yes.
But there needed to be a main motion on the floor before the amendment went forward.
Oh,
but I mean, we were all in agreement, so I didn't raise it, but that's fine. Even if that's an invalid motion, the motion I can raise it now is the motion to approve the RFQ to find a crisis management company for 1 year, So repeat that again. I move that the Board of Education submits the RFQ to find a crisis management public relations firm for the district for 1 year, subject to approval to the city's attorney, to then be moved to the contracts committee.
So move.
Second.
I'd like to propose an amendment. Rather than send it back to contracts, it's really only the 1 year issue that we're gonna be looking at, correct? And just bring it back to the full board to skip a step.
If there's any comments from legal, then there'll need to be something to be discussed. If it's no comments from legal, it can be a quick motion to approve in the contracts committee. But if there's any kind of feedback, language that needs to be changed, that is essentially what the contracts committee is for,
Right.
is to take a look at it. And
This is pretty much boilerplate with the exception of the 1 year term. And
according to you,
according to Mr. Pyrus, who prepared it, and Ms. Siegel, who's prepared probably hundreds of them, this is basically boilerplate language with dates picked up and moved around.
it's the function of the committee to
I thought
review.
we could delay with it. It's good. So we talk about the contracts committee, which I don't know, do we have a date yet for the contracts committee?
Yes, the contracts committee.
31st, and then the next regular board meeting after that will be.
That second week in February.
I don't mind. I was just trying to be expedient, so I could withdraw my proposed amendment. We could just take the extra time.
I would like to give the city attorney enough time to get to it, as that may not be an expedient process in itself, so.
Understood.
So there's no
Are you
amendment?
gonna keep your motion on the floor?
No,
Okay.
no, he didn't. I know you're gonna kill us, but you probably have to do it one more time. It's good?
No, it's not
Okay.
necessary. You can vote.
Okay, all right,
Hold on, I didn't switch the page now.
LeVar, second.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Mr. Sokolovich abstains. Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries. At this moment, we will entertain a motion to
So
adjourn.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Aye, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody. Good night, Ms. Siegel.
Good night.
Good
No,
night, Ms.
I'm
Bruno.
up. I'm normally like, I'm up. So, just in case, I just found out. So